Hi, it's Jen from the Lily Pad. Wanted to do this tutorial for my day 12 challenge, month of challenges. Okay, so here I am in Photoshop CC. I realize that you have Photoshop elements, but a lot of the things should be very similar to what you're seeing on my screen, like as far as where to go for them. Just make sure your layers palette over here is visible. If it's not, let me just get rid of this. Hold on. Okay, so here's Photoshop. Window will let you select what layers are shown. So just make sure layers is checked here. All right, if you don't see that. This is really important whenever you're creating scrapbook pages in Photoshop Elements. All right, so to show you, here's my original photo. This is the size of it. And then when you're doing this technique, you need to have two pieces, a shape, which is this smaller rectangle, and then the title text area. Your shape has to be smaller than the full size of the image. Okay? It can't be the same size as the shape, otherwise where are the pixels going to come from for the title part? Okay? So do you see how this whole thing fits within this whole big window? So that's the key. The title and the shape must be small enough to fit in the entire photo. So I just wanted to show you that. All right, so let's hide. If you click on the little eyeball, so here, look, hover over this, and it tells you what it is. Indicates layer visibility. So it can be invisible or visible, depending on whether you click or unclick on the eye. If you can't see the eye, that means your layer is invisible. It's not gone, it's just hiding. So let's hide these. Actually, let's just delete these because I'm going to show you how to make them. Okay, so you can start with a scrapbook page. Anything can be on it. It doesn't matter. Mine is white, as if I'm starting from scratch. And then my photo is there, but I'm hiding it for now so you can see what I'm doing. All right, so that's my layers palette. So on my background, I want to create a new layer to create a shape first. That's my first step. So down here, I click on Create a New Layer. Anytime I hover over tools or icons, Photoshop should tell you what it is. It looks like a square with the corner flipped over a little bit. Okay? And the important thing with create a new layer, the icon, is that whatever layer you're on, when you select that, it will put a new layer above it. I think in Photoshop Elements, these icons down here are up here at the top of the layers palette. So just look around for it. All right? If you can't find it, no worries. You can go up to your toolbar up at the top, and it'll look different probably on Photoshop Elements. It might be up here. But go up to your toolbar and click on Layer, New, and New Layer. Okay? And then it'll probably come up and say, oh, you want a new layer? Just say OK. You don't need to change anything in there. So because I was selected on background, it put the new layer above it. And that's where I want it. Now we're going to come over to our shape tools. Here is our rectangle tool. If you hover over it, Adobe will tell you what it is, and it even is giving you a little description of how to use it. So watch. You'll see a crosshair, click, drag, and release, and you get a shape. You can click on Learn How to learn more about that tool. This is available in Photoshop CC. I'm not sure if it's available in Photoshop Elements. I hope it is, and I suggest you go in and if you're interested in learning how to use Photoshop Elements, follow some of those tutorials so you can learn more about what's available to you. All right, so I'm going to click on this. Anytime you click on one of these tools, a toolbar comes up with more options. We don't really have to worry about anything. We're just going to use the default. The default is a fill, usually black. It doesn't matter what color it is. We just want a filled shape with any color. I don't recommend white because you're not going to be able to see it on your white background. And then the stroke, that would be like a line outside of the block filled rectangle. We don't want that either. So a white space with a line through it, red line through it, means no stroke, and that's what we want. Again, this is just the default. So I don't even have to play with anything. I just wanted you to be aware that that option is up there. Here is my cross hair. I am going to click down and then drag across my page to get the shape that I want. Remember, we don't want it to be a full 3x4 or 5x7 typical photo shape. We need to leave room, wherever we want room, on the side, the top, the bottom, for those pixels for your title. All right, so I'm going to make it a short, smushy box like this. When I get the shape I want, then I release my mouse, and there you go. In Photoshop CC, that properties tool for the shape comes up. I just click it off and send it away. I don't need it. I don't know if that'll happen in Photoshop Elements. I find it annoying, actually. Okay, so there I have my shape. The next thing I need to do is create a title. You don't even need to actually create a new layer. So the type tool is kind of different. And anytime you use it, it creates a brand new layer every time you use it. So just make sure you're on your rectangle shape layer here. It's highlighted. And click on the text tool. And that's going to do a layer right above this rectangle shape. All right, so what it does is it's kind of waiting for information. It wants to know, with this text layer, what font you want. I'm choosing a big chunky font called Impact. You can choose whatever you want. And it also wants to know what size you want it. And then if you come down into your workspace, okay, you see this little icon here, and I click, I'm telling it, please start typing here. And this cursor is this size because I have a 125 point size font. If I come down here and select a 60 size font, my cursor gets a lot smaller. All right, so this is kind of a helpful indicator for how big your font's going to be. So I want it to be bigger. I'm going to type in 125, and you just have to play around to see, depending on the type of font, you know, how it's going to look. They're all different. I'm going to use capitals because I think it just looks cleaner. So I type in caps my word, and then I'm going to hit the check mark. I think you can also hit enter to say, okay, I'm done typing. All right, and then it takes that word. Now what we need to do is, and actually I think I want to make this smaller. So I'm going to highlight it and try a different size, maybe 100. All right, that's good. Okay, so now I'm going to click on my Move tool. That's the first one up here. This is like one of the most used tools in Photoshop Elements. Again, if I hover over it, Adobe will tell me what it is and how to use it. All right, do you see the little demonstration? So I'm going to click on that tool. All right, and you see how there's a box around my title viewpoint? That's because I'm on this layer. If I were on this layer and had the Move tool selected, it's going to give me a box around my rectangle. All right, so right now I want to move my viewpoint down. So I have the Move tool selected. I have that layer in my layer palette selected. If I click on the actual word, hold down my mouse, I can drag it down to where I want it. Okay? I can use my arrow keys to come down, make sure it's really connected, center it. So you can use the Move tool to move it. You can use your arrow keys on your keyboard. All right? When you have it set up so that it's touching, it needs to be touching the shape so you can connect them. When you have it where you want it, you need to come over to your Layers palette and do a right click and do Rasterize your type. Okay? And now your type, instead of being a text layer, like vectors, now it's transformed into pixels. Okay? You don't need to know all that technical stuff. You just need to know that you need to rasterize it in order to merge layers together. So I have my viewpoint, and I'm going to hold down Shift, and I'm going to click on the rectangle shape. Shift, when you're clicking on multiple layers, Shift is what lets you click on multiple layers. All right, if I start clicking on something and I want to highlight both of them, it's not going to let me. It only lets me do one. So I have to hold Shift down to click the other. And you can keep going and click and, you know, select all of them. But or you can use Control to select all of them. But holding down Shift lets me click both of them. And then what I want to do is merge these layers. So I'm over here on top of the layers, and I'm going to do a right click, and again I get that menu. Remember, there was rasterized before. So here's my menu of different things I can do with these layers. I want to merge the layers. And watch what happens, see? Those two layers became one. They merged together. If I have my Move tool selected, you can see now that my bounding box is around the entire piece, the title and the shape together. And if I come in here and select a part of that shape, click on it, hold down my mouse, keep my mouse held down, and drag it around, everything moves as one. Okay, so now it's one shape. When I release, that's where it's going to stay. So then I come back to my photo that's waiting for me. I turn on the eye to see it, make it visible. Again, I have my Move tool selected. Come down here and click on the object. Do you see how it's got a box around it? Move it down into place. All right, that looks good. And now what you want to do is make a clipping mask. I want to be on the top layer, okay? The top layer. And then the bottom layer is what you want the top layer to be clipped to. So your shape goes underneath it, the photo goes on top. That's really, really important. And be clicked on the shape on the photo. Come up to Layer, and then come down to Create Clipping Mask, and just click on it. And watch what happens over here. This now is indented, and you can see a little down arrow. This is telling you that the photo pointing down is taking on the shape of what's below it. So my photo is now taking on the shape of the viewpoint layer. Okay, and we can see that over here. Right now I only have the photo selected. You can see the box around it. If I have my Move tool selected, I can move it around and position however I want. Okay, and that's all there is to it. So that's how you do it. I hope this helped you. You can go back and rewind and listen to it again. If you're stuck on anything, go ahead and PM me and I will try to help you. All right, but at least you have a visual of how to do this. All right, I hope this works for you. If not, let me know and we'll take it from there. Okay, bye.